The Shattered Crown. Chapter 1. The Call of the Ruins. In the ancient kingdom of Eldralis, where mountains kissed the sky and rivers sang songs of old, there existed a legend whispered among bards and scholars alike. It spoke of the Shattered Crown, a relic of immense power forged by the gods themselves during the Age of Dawn. When whole, it was said to grant dominion over life and death, light and shadow. But centuries ago, it had been broken into 7 fragments, scattered across the realms to prevent its misuse. For generations, no one dared seek the pieces, not until now. Aelin Thalor, a young scribe from the humble village of Vera, stood at the edge of the Whispering Woods. Her heart pounded as she clutched the worn map in her trembling hands. She wasn't a warrior, nor a mage. She was just a girl who loved stories. Yet here she was, embarking on a journey most would call madness. "Are you sure about this?" asked Kael, her childhood friend and reluctant companion. He adjusted the leather straps of his sword belt, though he looked more like a farmer than a fighter. "We're not exactly heroes." "I don't need to be a hero," Aelin replied, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I just need to find the truth." Kael sighed. Truth doesn't usually come with dragon-infested ruins and cursed artifacts. She smiled faintly. "Then we'll make history instead." They ventured into the forest, guided by the map Aelin had discovered hidden within the archives of the Royal Library. Its edges were frayed, its ink faded, but the symbols etched upon it glowed faintly under moonlight, a sign of enchantment. According to the legends, the first fragment of the Shattered Crown lay buried beneath the ruins of Earthes, a once great city swallowed by time and nature. As they walked, the air grew colder, and the trees seemed to lean closer, their gnarled branches forming twisted shapes. Whispers echoed around them, soft, indistinct murmurs that sent shivers down Aelin's spine. "What do you think they're saying?" Kael muttered, gripping the hilt of his sword. "I'm not sure I want to know," Aelin admitted. By dawn, they reached the outskirts of the ruins. What remained of Earthes was both breathtaking and haunting. Crumbling spires rose like jagged teeth against the horizon, their surfaces covered in moss and ivy. Statues of forgotten kings stared blankly into the void, their faces eroded by centuries of wind and rain. But something else lingered here, something alive. "Stay close," Kael warned, his eyes scanning the shadows. They moved cautiously through the ruins, following the map's glowing trail. As they approached what appeared to be the central plaza, the ground began to tremble. From the cracks in the earth emerged creatures unlike anything Aelin had ever seen. Their bodies were skeletal, wrapped in tattered remnants of armor, and their eyes burned with an unnatural blue fire. "Wraiths!" Kael shouted, drawing his sword. Aelin froze, paralyzed by fear. These weren't mere beasts. They were spirits bound to this place, guardians of whatever secret lay ahead. "Run!" Kael yelled, charging forward to meet the wraiths head-on. Against all odds, he fought valiantly, his blades slicing through the spectral forms. But for every wraith he struck down, 2 more took its place. Desperation clawed at Aelin's chest. She couldn't fight, but she refused to stand idle. Her gaze fell on the map in her hand. The symbols pulsed brighter, reacting to the chaos around her. An idea sparked in her mind. "Kael, hold them off," she called, backing away toward the center of the plaza. He glanced over his shoulder, confusion written across his face. "What are you doing?" "Trust me." With shaking hands, Aelin unfolded the map fully and pressed it against the cracked stone pedestal at the plaza's heart. The moment the parchment touched the surface, the ground erupted in a surge of golden light. Runes carved into the pedestal flared to life, and a deep, resonant hum filled the air. The wraiths screeched, recoiling from the light. One by one, they dissolved into ash, leaving only silence behind. Kael staggered back, panting and wide-eyed. What was that? Aelin exhaled sharply, her knees threatening to buckle. The map, it wasn't just a guide. It was a key. Beneath the pedestal, a hidden chamber opened, revealing a small, ornate box. Inside rested the first fragment of the Shattered Crown, a shard of crystal-like metal that shimmered with an otherworldly glow. Aelin hesitated before reaching for it, half expecting some terrible curse to strike her down. But when her fingers closed around the fragment, warmth spread through her body, filling her with a sense of purpose she couldn't explain. "We found it," she whispered, awestruck. Kael frowned. "Yeah, but now what? You really think we can put the crown back together?" "I don't know," Aelin admitted. "But I have to try. If the legends are true, this crown could change everything, for better or worse. And I'd rather risk my life trying to protect it than let someone else use it for evil." Kael shook his head, though a grin tugged at his lips. You always did have a knack for getting us into trouble. Chapter 2, Shadows Rising. Their victory was short-lived. As they left the ruins, they encountered a group of armed men blocking their path. At their head stood Lord Draven, a ruthless noble known for his ambition and cruelty. Well, well, Draven drawled, his cold eyes locking onto the fragment in Aelin's hand. It seems fortune favors the brave, or the foolish. Aelin tightened her grip on the shard. You won't take this. Draven smirked. Oh, I think I will. Hand it over, and perhaps I'll let your friend live. Kael stepped forward, raising his sword. Over my dead body. That can be arranged, Draven replied, signaling his men to attack. What followed was a desperate battle. Outnumbered and outmatched, Aelin and Kael fought with everything they had. But just as hope began to fade, the fragment in Aelin's hand reacted to her desperation. A wave of energy surged outward, knocking their attackers off their feet. Seizing the opportunity, Aelin and Kael fled into the forest, pursued by shouts of anger and frustration. They'll come after us, Kael said grimly as they ran. Draven won't stop until he has the crown. I know, Aelin replied. But we've faced worse already. We'll keep moving, keep searching for the other fragments. Together. And so, their journey continued. A perilous quest to reunite the shattered crown and decide the fate of the world. Along the way, they would face unimaginable dangers, forge unlikely alliances, and uncover secrets that challenged everything they believed.